Oh, hi, everybody. It's Ezra Levant here, September 30th. It's only been a few hours since I've spoken with you last. Last night, my friend Sheila Gunn Reed and I had a watch party for the Trump-Biden debate. We had almost 8,000 people watching along with us at its height. I wasn't really checking Twitter for the other pundit class reaction. I just sort of went with my own gut. And I thought it was just such an awful debate. Primarily the format and the moderation. Donald Trump and Joe Biden both could have had very interesting things to say, but the moderator, Chris Wallace, spoke far too much, spoke far too belligerently. I saw some math that he interrupted Biden, I think 15 times, and interrupted Trump over 70 times, something like that. That was obviously true. He would probably say in his own defense that he was interrupting Trump because Trump was interrupting Biden. He was trying to get it back on track. In other words, Chris Wallace failed to be a moderator. He didn't have the respect of either candidate, really. And he didn't know what to do when they were not listening to him. A criticism that our friend Joel Pollack made that is very accurate. And I sort of had an inkling about it, but I didn't lock onto it. Many of Chris Wallace's questions, the premises of those questions, the factual substrate, was flawed, was wrong, was inaccurate. For example, he said that Donald Trump was against sensitivity training. No, he's not. What does that even mean, sensitivity training? What Donald Trump banned in federal organizations was inherent bias workshops based on this theory that we are all innately racist. Even if we pretend we're not racist, that's just proof we're racist. It's a whole particular grievance studies, intersectionality, Black Lives Matter mindset called inherent bias training. It's not sensitivity training. I wonder if Chris Wallace even knew that, or if he didn't know it, or if he knew it and he was just trying to be tricky. He also misquoted Donald Trump in the fine people canard and was not even-handed. He demanded that Trump denounce white supremacists for the 100th time, but didn't equally demand that Joe Biden renounce and disavow Black Lives Matter. There were a lot of things that were not in parity there. I just thought it was an awful debate. I don't know if the needle was moved for anyone. I have a tough time thinking that someone who was for one candidate switched to the other. I just don't think it happened. But mainly, I think it comes down to the moderator, the host. Moderating Biden and Trump, moderating Trump at all, is got to be one of the toughest jobs in journalism, and Chris Wallace was clearly not up to it. It was so bad that some of his own colleagues at Fox News were dissing him on Twitter in real time. They weren't even held back by their corporate loyalty to him. Greg Gutfeld, Laura Ingraham, and others. I thought it was an awful debate. I didn't really learn much, other than, and I mentioned this to Sheila last night, that Joe Biden has a different message when he thinks he's talking to middle America than when he's talking to his party base. When he's talking to his party base, he's go Black Lives Matter. He's, hey, everybody, chip in. Kamala Harris, his vice presidential pick, was promoting a fundraiser to get bail for Antifa rioters. That's how deep they are there. But when he's talking to middle America, he says, oh, no, I'm for law and order. When he's talking to his base, his Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez base, he's all Green New Deal. In fact, his website is Green New Deal. But last night he said, no, I'm not for the Green New Deal. What you talking about? So again, maybe like Chris Wallace, Joe Biden really doesn't know. He's just, reading talking points he memorized. Or maybe he knows and he lies. When you've been a politician for 47 years, as Joe Biden has, I would go with the lie alternative. The one thing that I thought was interesting was how Joe Biden got a little testy, a little sensitive, a little sore when Donald Trump asked him about his son, Hunter Biden, receiving a wire transfer of $3.5 million from the wife of the former mayor of Moscow. I mean, listen, my life is not global. I do not bestride continents. I do a little business in the UK, a little business in Australia, a little business in America. I'm not a global mastermind, but I got to think getting a $3.5 million bank wire from the wife of the Moscow mayor. This is not an allegation. This is a fact. It's just a fact. Now, the question is, what was it for? And we don't really know, but you've got to admit that Hunter Biden, the son at the time of the US Vice President, Joe Biden was his dad, Hunter is the son, and the son of the US Vice President gets $3.5 million wired to him by the wife of the Moscow mayor. What did you do to earn that, mate? Are you a man of great knowledge and wisdom? Are you an inventor? Are you a tech genius? Are you do you get things done, or are you just grifting off your dad's name, reputation, and connections, like the whole Clinton foundations did? Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State, while Bill wrung out foreign donors in expectation of a tit for tat from Hillary Clinton. Hunter Biden, coke addict, various grave personal dysfunctions, is not someone who would in any conceivable way earn a $3.5 million paycheck from the wife of the Russian mayor, other than a bribe. He was getting tens of thousands of dollars a month to be on a Ukrainian energy company board. Is he some expert in fracking, or some expert in drilling, or some expert in pipeline? The closest he's ever come to the oil and gas industry is that one time when he accidentally pumped his own gas at a self-service station. I mean, why was he being paid like a rock star to be on a board of an energy company? Why did he go to China and leave with more than $1 billion of investment money? Is he the Warren Buffett, the young Warren Buffett, who just knows? No, these are all bribes. And Joe Biden was a little sensitive to that. That's one of the things I picked up, at least, and I would find it very interesting if in the weeks ahead Trump focused on that. I wonder if he will. I wonder if that's just something that the political class, like me, is interested in, and if ordinary Americans just don't care. There were a few things yesterday that weren't mentioned. I said this to Sheila last night. China didn't come up at all, except collaterally in a discussion about the virus, but no conversation about the trade war with China, China's regional military ambitions. It's on the brink of war with India. It's building this fake island, Scarborough Shoal, as a military base. It's saber rattling with Taiwan. It's cyber attacks. It's industrial espionage, Huawei, TikTok, spying on Americans. Like, China is a really big deal, and Trump has, as one of his signature foreign policy strategies, marginalizing China and reshoring, bringing back factories from China, huge tariffs on China. The whole subject of China, trade, war, espionage, regional influence, just didn't come up. But let's ask a boring question. But well, the 2006 Paris Protocol on global warming says blah blah. Is that more pressing? Is that more interesting? Not to mention of the astounding Middle East peace deals that Trump has arranged. Maybe Americans don't care about that too. It's quite possible. But it's hard for me to imagine that if it were Barack Obama who had arranged Middle East peace, that wouldn't have come up. I thought the whole thing was just awful. And, I'm glad I watched it, I suppose, because it was a moment in history. But I feel degraded and smaller because of it. All right. Well, let me tell you what we do here every day. Now that I have that 10-minute throat clearing out of the way, what we do is a live stream every day, 12 noon. I do it Monday, Wednesday, a Friday, usually. Sheila Gunn Reid, David Menzies do it Tuesday and Thursday. They've got a great rapport, don't they? They've got a great banter. And I always like doing live streams with Sheila because she's got a lot of common sense and she sees things that I miss. And number one, she's a fan favorite. Everyone loves her on TV, and so do I. She's our chief reporter for a good reason. And Sheila's particularly good at explaining super chats. Now I know you know what that is, but just for those who may not, as you can see to the right of the video window in the comment chat window, there's just a ticker tape of comments, and I can't keep track of them. I mean, they're going so fast I couldn't even read them all. But if you want yours to stand out, not only to be noticed by the other 1,000 people watching right now, but by me, you can make a comment in a bright highlighted color by putting a few bucks behind it. And you do that just by clicking that little dollar sign at the bottom there. If I don't answer them right away, I promise you I will. They're appended to the top of that little window for a bit, and Justin, our producer, makes note of them and sends them to me. So please do that. I like to interact with viewers. You can ask me anything. We answer all questions, including embarrassing ones. It's part of the banter, and Google gives us 70% of the revenues therefrom, which is important because Google has basically demonetized all conservative pages. Fewer than 1/3 of our videos are monetized at all, and those that are monetized are often monetized at a below premium rate. They basically put conservative commentary in a little box marked throw it in the garbage. We refuse to die, and one of the ways we live is through your super chat, so I thank you in advance. Why don't I do this? It's 12:12. I'm going to read the super chats that have come in so far, and then I've got a few things I wouldn't mind showing you. Typically, Justin puts together some little videos that maybe I was sharing on Twitter. I might have something more to say about. And we take your comments, and before you know it, the hour is done. It's already 12:12. So let's go through some of the super chats. Travis Colson, $14. He says, my rebel family just watched an interview with Laura Lynn Taylor Thompson and Randy Hillier. It's everything we talk about here. The video needs to go viral in Canada. Well, I really like Randy Hillier, and I've had the pleasure of interviewing him fairly recently. Also, Tamara Ugolini, one of our newest reporters, has interviewed him. And I've met him over the years. I think he's great. It is absolutely no surprise to me that he was ejected from the Ontario PC caucus because he's too much of an independent thinker. I think he's, he's got a rural style, sort of a folksy style, and he wears those big suspenders. But don't mistake that for a lack of intellectual sophistication. I think he's very smart, and he's done a lot of philosophical thinking about property rights and freedom. He's one of the few sane voices in the legislature on this whole pandemic lockdown. And I love Laura Lynn Tyler Thompson, who we've had in this very office before. So I know she's very busy out west. Laird Kintyre, $5. Very unexpected turn of events last night. Biden stayed awake, but he put me to sleep. That's very funny. Yeah, expectations were so low. The fact that he got through it without mumbling, stumbling, falling, forgetting where he was a victory. That goes to expectations. You set expectations for your opponent too low, you were going to lose no matter what. Some people thought Joe Biden was too grouchy. He called Trump a clown, a racist, and he said, shut up. Of course, but I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of the Democratic Party. They love that stuff. Like, you're on the editorial board of the New York Times. You love saying, shut up. You wish that could be you. You wish that could be you saying, shut up, Trump. Shut up, orange man bad. So he gave about 3 of those moments. And I don't think he people say, oh, very very low level, very grubby. Yeah, welcome to the state of political dialogue in 2020. A Viking Insane, $2. Expectations too high for Trump, but too low for Joe. All right, well, we'll see what it is in the next debate, if there is one. Hostbusters, $5. There was no debate. It was just a psychological head game conversation with the audience as the two men laughed amongst each other. I don't know about that. Gabriel Mainville, $10. I'm glad you talk about Radio X on your show. By the way, I used to dislike Eric Duhem, and I finally understood his character when he challenged a leftist band called Mise en Demeure. Well, I like Eric Duhem. I've known him since I was a young staffer on Parliament Hill for Preston Manning. I was Preston Manning's legislative assistant from, what were the years? 97 to 99. And he was my counterpart in Gilles Ducep's Bloc Québécois. So we were a couple of young guys, and to our surprise, we had a lot in common. Gilles Duceppe was a Marxist separatist, but Eric Duhem was very thoughtful and very freedom-oriented, and I'm pleased to say we remain friends to this day. Green Gem 1978, $5. What are your thoughts on Canadian journalist Dan Dale and his petty fact-checking segments or articles? Fact-checking. I've only read his stuff twice, because once you read it once, you just say, okay, these are not fact checks. These are opinion checks. It's true that occasionally Trump gets a word wrong, or occasionally there's some hyperbole or exaggeration. Okay, call that a fact check. Very rarely does Trump get something dead wrong. But by far, look at this. This is a perfect example. President Trump claims Joe Biden called him xenophobic for imposing travel restrictions. Facts first. This is lacking context. Okay, so look at their answer. They say it's not clear Biden even knew about Trump's China travel restrictions when he called Trump xenophobic on the day the restrictions were unveiled. Biden has never explicitly linked his accusation of xenophobia to these travel restrictions. So let me just explain. So CNN says, is this Daniel Dale's fact check? Probably, yeah. Click on the link. I'm sure that's Daniel Dale, because they hired him away from the Toronto Star. Okay, I don't see his name. Yeah, it's a summary. Fact check. Okay, yeah, there it is. Click that one there. Yeah, what is that? Evidence. This is lacking evidence. Okay, I don't see if this is Daniel Dale, but let me just say this. So all the Democrats are saying, oh, it's no big deal. This virus is no big deal. Don't shut down the planes from China. China's our friends. We love China, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Trump says, no, I'm restricting planes from China. And Biden says, you're xenophobic. So Trump mentions that in the debate last night, and that's fact check. Well, sure, he said xenophobic right after Trump banned planes, but there's no proof of the connection. Sure, it was said, ban the planes, you're a xenophobe, but maybe they were talking about something like that. I'm sorry, that's not a fact check. That's not even an opinion check. That's just Daniel Dale. Not true. All of the ballots in the PA waste, there were 9. 7 were Trump. According to the Justice Department, 2 were unknown. Initial press release said all 9 were Trump, but they deleted it and issued new. Okay, so hold this up here for a second. So Trump said they found a bunch of ballots in a garbage can, and they were all for Trump. And Daniel's saying, no, actually, like he's the kind of guy who said, actually, they weren't all for Trump, because later they said 7 were for Trump and 2 they don't know. So he's totally the liar. Daniel Dale, he's a Canadian, of course, and he would do this kind of a fact check to Rob Ford, the former mayor of Toronto, now deceased. And he worked for the Toronto Star until he was lured away to the big time by CNN, probably doubled his pay for sure. He never fact-checked Justin Trudeau in this way, because you can't do that when you're the Toronto Star and you're getting $110,000 a week from Justin Trudeau for your newspaper ballot. You can't fact-check Trudeau that way. You do that once, you get a screaming phone call from Katie Telford, the corrupt chief of staff. You don't do that again if you want your $110,000 in bailout money the next week. So Daniel Dale never did his fact-checking on Trudeau, and certainly not in this fake fact-checking. Oh, sure, they called him xenophobic. Biden has not said that riots are peaceful protest. He's called peaceful protest, peaceful protest. Yeah, no, we've been watching for 6 months, Daniel, And not only have mostly peaceful. Oh, that's from CNN. That literally has a guy standing in front of a burning building saying mostly peaceful. Oh my God. Okay, let's get back to the super chats. Yeah, so that's fact checking today. Fact check. They're not checking facts. They're checking opinions, which is a very different thing. That's why it's so important that Donald Trump does the fake news line of attack, because Daniel Dale is actually a more effective liar than most Democrat operatives. Unjust on Trudeau, $5. Do you think Biden had an earpiece? He held up better than I thought. Although, yes, the moderator was on his side. Will they cancel the next debates? Maybe he had an earpiece, but I think he was generally well prepared. He was low energy, and but he didn't trail off. He didn't mumble. He didn't get things too wrong. I think if he had an earpiece, I don't think that alone would have saved him. I think he did acceptably. John Day, $5. Why call Joe Biden vice president instead of former vice president? He's not VP still. Well, they traditionally call vice president. I mean, it's they call Jimmy Carter President Carter. It's sort of an honorific that you maintain. It's such a high office. You sort of maintain. It's like in Canada, we call those people the Right Honorable Joe Clark, even though he was only prime minister for a few months. Toys Are for Boys, $6.66. I tried to watch the debate, but couldn't get more than 2 minutes in when Trump started with, "You voted for me. This is what you get." I stopped watching. He was making the point. He said elections have consequences, because he was saying he had the authority to appoint the next Supreme Court judge because he's the president. And he's the president for 4 years, not 3 years or 3.5 years. I think that was actually one of Trump's better points. And by the way, he was quoting Barack Obama. He used the same line himself. Viking Insane, $2. Joe Rogan can moderate fact check. Pull it up, Jamie. Yeah, and Joe Rogan would command the respect of Trump and Biden. He just wouldn't let them steamroll them like that. And he would assert control. But there's no way that Joe Biden would accept that, because Joe Rogan is too naturally conservative. And Joe Rogan likes to go for hours. He does 3-hour interviews. Joe Biden can't hold up that long. Viking Insane, $2. Afraid mail-in ballot fraud will tilt the election. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, but Daniel Dale fact-checked and said only 7 out of 9 ballots are Trump ballots. The other 2 we don't know. So stop. Hey, fact-checked you. Blind me with your seed, $7. Fine, take my money. Thank you. Craig McDonald, $14. With Trudeau's reckless spending and COVID lockdown, is it possible to completely sewer the economy and have the bank seize our accounts under the bank bail-in plan? Is it likely? I think the problem is, I think that's a different thing. A bank bail-in is when the bank itself fails and it sort of nationalizes your deposit. That's different than the crisis Trudeau's putting us in, which is in a government debt crisis, which will lead to higher borrowing rates, lower credit ratings, an increasing percentage of your tax bill just going to pay off interest, and most of all, waste, corruption, liberals filling their pockets. Jan, £5. Are there any countries in Europe not affected by the pandemic? If so, how to find reliable information about them? We need hope. Love, Scotland. Well, first of all, hello in Scotland. Did you see my video that I made about Humza Yousaf, your justice minister there? It's had almost 200,000 views, and Humza Yousaf himself reacted to it. I encourage you to find that. I was criticizing his censorship bill. So hello to Scotland. Yes, there is a country in Europe that zigged where everyone else zagged. It's called Sweden. Everyone criticized it, but it's doing better than any other place. It didn't destroy its own economy, and its mortality and morbidity rates are comparable or superior to countries that committed economic and, unfortunately, physical suicide. Patriot Girl 1, $10. President Trump has so much factual ammo. I really hope Trump gets that out, and eye contact. As I said last night, I think that Biden really took preparation for the debate seriously, and Trump didn't. Trump's busy running the country, jetting around, doing big events, sometimes 3, 4, 5 events in a day. I don't think he said, okay, I need to practice this line here. I got to make sure I make these 4 points there. I think he went and said, oh, yeah, I can handle this. I scrum with the press all the time. I'm really good on my feet. I don't think he prepared, actually. Wolfcat Wildcat, $5. Was it me or did Biden look ill? Well, Biden's got a very old look. His face is being pulled back. His eyes, his pupils look the size of quarters to me. Am I getting that wrong? He's got these big black pupils. I wonder what that means, if that's a medical thing, a reaction to some meds. Unjust on Trudeau, $2. Lots of hilarious debate articles on the Babylon Bee. You are so right. Hey, Justin, could you go to the Babylon Bees Twitter feed? They are so funny. Foul play suspected as radio antenna slowly emerges from Biden's head. That's a good one. But there's actually some even funnier ones. Trump throws Biden off his game by wearing luscious women's wig to debate. That's funny. Biden campaign calls a lit halfway through first question. Oh, man. Experts predict winner will be candidate who talks the least. There's some truth there. Scroll down a little bit more. There were a few really funny ones there. Prankster Trump swaps Biden's mask out with a Trump 2020 mask. That's funny. CNN's pre-debate poll shows Biden clearly won the debate. That's funny. Follow tonight's debate with Babylon. That's yeah. You know, there's just some really, really funny ones there. I think we got all their debate ones. Was there any up top? Like, was there any later than the antenna one? They had some really. Babylon Bee is so good. It's so funny, and the other broadcast signal accidentally picks up two old men yelling at each other instead of presidential. That's not bad. Can you find their one about NBA players or NFL players wearing lace collars in solidarity with Ruth Bader Ginsburg? I just want to mention that. First of all, it's so very funny. Second of all, it's only about a millimeter away from the truth. And that's where you find the biggest funny, because it's absurd that, and they've got this great Photoshop picture of these big burly guys wearing, if you just go, it's really funny, but I've seen stupider things. There's this thing called walk a mile in her shoes. I don't understand it, but it's a thing where people, I've even seen soldiers do it. Oh, look at this. NBA players wear special lace collars to honor Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And NBA players are honoring the life of Ruth Bader Ginsburg this week by wearing pretty lace collars, just like notorious RBG used to wear. And look at those guys, and look at that photo, and look at the number of retweets and likes. First of all, you know that's only 1 inch away from the truth. I was mentioning this walk a mile in her shoes thing, where you get big burly guys putting on high heels, and I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Oh, I know what it's like to be a woman. Women aren't forced to wear high heels. They do so because they think it makes them look pretty, or they like the look, or how it makes them feel. The idea that men have to wear high heels, it's just so weird. But that's what I thought of there. The funny thing is that I think that was literally the most shared meme in all of Facebook for a day or so. It was so funny, and people were sharing it because it's very funny. And maybe some people were sharing it because, like I say, as satire, it was only 1 inch away from the truth. So can you find Snopes? I think it was Snopes that or USA Today. It was USA Today, which is a newspaper I don't mind most of the time. Sort of centrist, sort of boring. It's one of those free newspapers you get if you're, at a hotel. Usually they slip it under your door for free. I suppose some people actually pay for USA Today, but I'd be surprised. USA Today fact-checked that NBA wears lacy. I think it was USA Today. By the way, I think the very first word in the Facebook post by Babylon Bee was satire. But USA fact-checked it anyways. That's very funny. All right. don't worry if you can't find it. It's just, you've got to believe me. They actually fact checked. Yeah, look at this. Fact check. Oh, this is, okay, similar one. I thought it was on the Ginsburg thing. Fact check. Satirical claim that the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals overturned Ginsburg's death. Okay, scroll down just a little bit here. The claim, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals overturned the death of Supreme Court Justice Ginsburg. Scroll down. Let me see if they show the actual tweet there. Scroll down. No, I guess they don't. Can you go back up? Because I think they linked to it. I think they actually linked to it right at the top. Yeah, okay. And yeah, the headline of an article published by the satire site, Babylon Bee. So click on it. Ninth Circuit Court overturns death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. 221,000 shares. So I think this is the one that was the most shared thing in the internet. This is on a website. It's a satirical website. It's like The Onion, but a lot funnier. It's called the Babylon Bee, which might even in itself be a bit of a tip-off, like The Onion. This is a jokey site. You've got to understand, and I think most people over 5 or 6 years old would understand, you can't overturn a death with a court ruling. That's not a thing. That's why it's so funny. And of course, satire being so close to the truth, it's the audacity and the arrogance of that circuit court that makes it extra funny. USA Today fact check that. That's not a fact check. That's actually you disclosing to your viewers just how dumb you are, and just how dumb you think your own viewers are. Fact check, Trump nominee. Imagine this is your job. Fact checking the Babylon Bee. Fact check. Trump nominating himself to the Supreme Court is a satirical suggestion. You think so? You think so? Oh, thank God USA Today. Oh, thank God they're there to save me. I was so dumb I wouldn't have known. Oh, you just scroll down. What are some other fact checks there? No evidence. Schumer called. Okay, that's a boring one. If you can find any more where they fact check jokes, oh my God, that's so embarrassing for USA Today. I mean, it's embarrassing. All right, okay. It's 12:33 p.m. I think we're doing okay. I think we got through most of the super chats. Oh, I see one from Bill Howie, $10. Still nothing on BC election by Rebel or True North. Why? Also, mainstream media is ignoring BC Conservatives, even though they're polling higher than Greens in several areas. Maybe because BC Conservative Party is only anti-Trudeau, anti-carbon tax party. Well, thank you for the encouragement to cover the BC election. And I see that the Saskatchewan election is also afoot. I think it's scheduled for October 26th, and I expect that we will cover both. In regards to the BC Conservative Party, I'm not familiar with it other than very vaguely. I would imagine that my thoughts on it are similar to my thoughts on the People's Party of Canada, which is the policies are strong, but other than that, I don't think it has a chance to elect any MLAs, let alone form the government. So while I'm sympathetic to it, I haven't checked its website in years. I don't even know who the leader is. I just don't think it's got a shot. We earlier today talked about Laura Lynn Taylor Thompson, who I understand is the head of the Christian Heritage Party in BC now. I hope I got that right. If I'm wrong, correct me. I like her. I think she's great. She's not going to win. Doesn't mean we don't like her, but if we're doing serious coverage of the election, she wouldn't be the center of the story. And I say again that I like her very much, but that doesn't mean she's going to win. I like Maxime Bernier very much. I wish he had 10, 20, 30, 40 MPs with him. I wish he was a decisive kingmaker or deal breaker or deal maker in Parliament. Wouldn't it be better if he had the balance of power rather than Jagmeet Singh. It'd be a very different parliament, and it would make the Conservative Party much sharper. Alas, his party didn't even win his own seat. So the fact that I like him is of little or no consequence. Alan Elliott, $5. Hi, Ezra, not on topic, but did you get a chance to ask Avi about that woman screaming in his arrest video? Just being in the back of my mind. Thanks. Alan, thank you for that. I didn't. Every time I hear it, I'm curious too. I'm going to send him a note. It's 2:35 in the morning. So you know what? I'm worried that if I send him a note right now, it'll go ping and wake him up. So I don't want to, but I am going to ask him because it sounds like that woman's shouting, Avi! Right? Do you want to play that? Can you play that? So this is when Avi Yamini's in Melbourne. He's covering anti-lockdown protests as a reporter for us. He's got his credentials, he's got his permits, he's got his mic, he's standing with the other reporters. He's been doing, and a cop comes up to him and he jabs his finger in Avi's chest. Avi sort of laughs. Yeah, it lasts for about 1 second before 5 cops take him and smash him on the ground. But there's this woman shouting, Avi! And it's very strange. Take a look. Oh, you mean you need a second to tee it up? Justin's getting that. I'm going to have a sip of this bubbly here. Give me 1 second. We'll play it when it's ready. Let me read the next super chat in the meantime. Goonies 2, $5. Ezra, better to be a tail among lions than a head among snakes. May Canadian rights see the betrayal done to them by Rebel News. Okay. You'll have to explain what betrayal we've done to the Canadian right by Rebel News. You're watching Rebel News. I'm the president of Rebel News. I have been a part of the Canadian right since I was a teenager. That's going back to the 20th century now. When I was in college, I was the president of the Reform Party Student Society. When I was in law school, I helped create, no, I didn't create, I ran, it was already created, the largest conservative group in the law school. When I was a lawyer, when I was a political activist, when I was a journalist, I always was part of the Canadian right. It's part of my identity. So to say that I have betrayed the Canadian right is confusing to me. I'm ready to meet your charges, but you must detail them because otherwise I think you got your facts wrong. Pink Phoenix Nails, $2. Did Chris Wallace win his presidential debate? He lost it terribly. He lost it terribly. A Sunday, $5. The debate was run like a Wallace News segment. Any talk of policy was quickly shut down by argument. Very disappointed with Trump's performance. I can't disagree with the word you have there. Okay, here's that Avi Yamini thing from Melbourne.
It was quite peaceful until...
This guy here is not here for any purpose of reason. He's under arrest. But this guy here is going to be placed under arrest right now. Well, I'm under arrest.
I am media.
Yeah, I'll have to ask him about that. What was that? I mean, maybe it was just someone screaming about something else, but I think I heard her say, Avi! Maybe she was warning him. Maybe she was in distress. Maybe it's completely unrelated. I am curious as well. Okie dokie. Have I missed any, Justin? I think we're caught up. Okay. Well, let's look at a few things we have here. Going to shift gears a little bit. And I think it's Pennsylvania. Is it Pennsylvania, the governor? Pennsylvania is a funny state. It is such a state that's up for grabs. It's a really battleground state. It voted for Obama twice. But over time, it's changed, in my mind, because of the decline of the coal and steel industry and the growth of the fracking industry. 200,000 jobs were created, largely in Washington County. I've had the great pleasure of visiting there many times. And the steel mills were shutting down. Those jobs were going to China. The coal was shutting down. Lots of coal in China. But fracking came in just to save the day. I remember driving down one road, I forget the name of the road, and you would see an ArcelorMittal steel plant, skeleton crew, not even open all the time, about to be shut down. But then up ahead, a new multi-billion-dollar ethane plant, and everywhere you look, fracking and activity, and the whole place is revitalized. Jobs, tons of tax dollars, but also price of energy for the average home in Pennsylvania falls $1,000. So fracking saves Pennsylvania. But all these Hollywood phonies coming in, Susan Sarandon, et cetera, crapping on fracking. And the Democrats getting in on it against fracking. So you have a state that's teetering on the edge, Rust Belt, as they would say. Steel, coal, blue collar, all those jobs going to China or Mexico. And then there's a little technological miracle called fracking, and all of a sudden you got 200,000 jobs. And they're good jobs. They're good jobs. And the Democrats say, we're going to shut that down. Hillary Clinton says, we're going to shut that down. Barack Obama says, we're going to shut that down. I mean, we know they hate coal, but now they're threatening fracking. And so, I mean, and again, I studied this in some great detail. I did a whole video on this. Can you dig that up? It was in 2017. It's a long time ago now. If you go to our YouTube video list and search in there and type in Pennsylvania and Trump. It's a video I did about Washington County, Pennsylvania. Very niche. It was about a newspaper in this town, in this county, that was anti-Trump but couldn't explain why. And this one county, Washington County, went from like 25% margin to Obama to like 10% for Trump. It happened and it's such a battleground. And fracking put Trump over the top. And all this anti-oil, Green New Deal, ban fracking, decarbonize, it scared the hell out of Pennsylvanians who were saved by fracking. Can I play you this video? I haven't watched it in 3 years. I know this county. It's a wonderful place. And so when this local newspaper said, oh, we have no words, Donald Trump, I can't believe he got arrested. Well, I'm a Canadian. You're the newspaper in that town. You didn't see what's going on. You didn't see the threat to your family's prosperity. You didn't see that fracking is the lifeblood and then Trump wants it and Hillary Clinton was against it and Barack Obama was against it and Biden's. You don't know what's going on in your own county. Play this. If it's too long, we'll cut it short. But this of every place in America, the place I've gone perhaps most intensely is Washington County, Pennsylvania, to study fracking. Let me show you what I saw.
A couple of days ago, a friend of mine in Pennsylvania sent me a picture of an editorial in his local newspaper. He took a snapshot of it. The headline is Trump wins. And the entire editorial is, we have no words. And then a bunch of blank space. Now, this wasn't some student newspaper where some functionally illiterate millennial would just say, like Donald Trump, oh my God. No, this was a real newspaper, the Observer Reporter in Western Pennsylvania, that has been publishing in one form or another since 1808. Here's their heritage building in Washington County, Pennsylvania. And the newspaper, whose purpose it is to report things and analyze things, couldn't or wouldn't. We have no words. Isn't it your job to have words? I mean, you are a newspaper. It was so embarrassing that one of the paper's owners wrote this letter. As a former half owner of the Observer Reporter, I disassociate myself from the insulting blank page editorial about the election for president of the United States. My wife, Sally D. Northrup, who does own a small portion of the paper, is mortified. Can you imagine that? Your own owners are disowning you. The newspaper seems to have deleted the original editorial from its website, but of course the internet is forever, and there it is, immortalized on Google Cache. But look, their editorial was stupid, but it was honest. I believe that the editors had no words because they had no clue. They don't know what to say because they don't know what arguments to make. At least that's more honest and more fair than lashing out at Americans, calling everyone racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic, whatever. So I actually prefer the Observer reporter to, say, the New York Times or CNN, who have no clue either, but cover up their ignorance by just insulting everyone and calling everyone names. But don't you think a newspaper, especially a local newspaper in small town West Pennsylvania, don't you think they should have a clue? If not about Donald Trump, at least about their own readers. Because Washington County went for Donald Trump huge. 61% for Trump, 36% for Clinton. Now, in 2008, Washington County was pretty much 50-50 Republicans and Democrats. Then in 2012, it went Republican by a 13% margin. And then last week, a huge 25% margin. That's 24,000 votes. And remember, Pennsylvania, the whole state, only tipped Republican by 65,000 votes. Washington County was almost half of that gap. Washington County helped flip all of Pennsylvania into a Republican state for the first time since 1988. And the local newspaper had no clue about what's happening all around it. They were literally sitting on the story of the year: rural, small town, blue collar America, Rust Belt, coal country, steel mills, folks who used to vote Democrat, now voting Trump nearly 2-1, but they have no words. Oh my God. Hey, can I help a bit? I mean, I'm a Canadian, but I've been to Washington County 3 or 4 times in the past few years, which is probably 3 or 4 times more than Hillary Clinton visited. Here I was stopping at the Turtle Twist, naturally. But actually, I went there to study how a poor Rust Belt part of America can make an economic comeback. See, Western Pennsylvania used to be all about coal and steel, but that's been tough going for 20, 30 years, partly because of cheap competition from the third world, and partly because of Democratic Party elites like Hillary Clinton.
We're going to put a lot of coal miners and coal companies out of business.
And partly because of Barack Obama, too.
So if somebody wants to build a coal-powered plant, they can. It's just that it will bankrupt them.
See, Clinton and Obama and all the fancy Democrats love their fashionable causes like global warming.
I have made climate change a priority in my current role as Secretary of State. Climate change is a threat to the security of the United States.
So those fashionable causes get applause in the New York Times and at the United Nations and in the fancy neighborhoods of Manhattan and Hollywood. But in Washington County, Pennsylvania, talking about global warming and virtue signaling like that, it really means, sorry, no job for you or your dad or your uncle or your son. Meantime, China can't get enough coal and steel. That's where the jobs are. But along came fracturing for natural gas, just in the nick of time. And Washington County has become the center of the fracking miracle. In a geological formation called the Marcellus Shale, more natural gas is produced in Washington County and surrounding counties than anywhere else in America, even more than Texas. It's amazing. I've seen it for myself. That's why I kept going down there. It's created 200,000 jobs. It's reduced energy prices for all Pennsylvanians, too, by the way. It's turned the Rust Belt into a series of boom towns. That's why I kept going down there. I wanted to see if maybe Canada could learn how to turn around a struggling economy by allowing fracking technology in places like New Brunswick, where they ban fracking. Well, the Democrats hate fracking. All the Democrats and their celebrity entourage, well, they all go into Western Pennsylvania, call for a ban on fracking, and then go back to New York City. So they're calling for a war on the one industry that's still giving families in Pennsylvania jobs. And you're surprised that Washington County has gone so hard against the Democrats and for the Republicans. You know, the Democrats used to be the party of the guys who wore hard hats. Now, at least under Hillary Clinton, they're the party of Goldman Sachs and Saudi donors and environmental activists and Yoko Ono. That's why Washington County went for Trump, nearly 2-1. And even this Canadian tourist can see that. For the Rebel.media, I'm Ezra Levant.
I think that's almost 4 years ago I made that video. I think that would have been Maybe it was 4 years ago. I don't even think that was in 2000. November 15th, 2016, Justice says to me, I haven't looked at it since, but I remember it because Pennsylvania is such a fascinating place. And it really is the story of guys who used to vote for Democrats. You know, it's a place where all those Bruce Springsteen songs, you know, My Old Town, you know, Foreman says these jobs are going, boys, and they ain't coming back. You know, it's that kind of place, the Michael Moore kind of place, taken for granted by Democrats, abandoned by Democrats, sold out by Democrats to China, sold out to Wall Street. There's this myth that Wall Street is Republican. For a generation, it's given far more to Obama, Clinton, Biden than to Republicans. I'm with Ann Coulter. Her response to the Trump tax thing was, why aren't the Democrats against zero taxes for billionaires? Like, why? It's a great question. Well, the answer is pretty obvious. Michael Bloomberg, George Soros, the billionaire class are leftists. I know it's hard to sort of crunch that one, but it's true. So these working class, blue collar folks who voted Democrat for a generation said, you know what? Here comes Hollywood phonies and Clinton and Obama to shut down my job. I'm going to vote Republican because I want to continue to work. And when Hillary Clinton just didn't go to these places, when she was too busy with the coastal elites in Hollywood and Manhattan having parties and getting endorsements from Katy Perry and whatever, that doesn't cut any ice in Washington County, in Canonsburg, in Pittsburgh. What a great little state that is. And I tell you that's a 20-minute lead up. I just wanted to show you that old video because I think some of those forces are still at work. That's why China is such a big deal. You think China has rules against energy development? China, there's more coal factories being built in China than the rest of the world combined. China is the world's largest consumer and producer of coal. So why on earth would America or Canada cut off our coal, cut off our energy? Are you obeying China on purpose, or is it a coincidence? So that's why I think the China thing is so important. But take a look at this. This is the goofy governor of Pennsylvania who is surprisingly anti-fracking, considering how important it is to his state. There's a lot of, I mean, like I say, that state is just right on the edge. You could call it a purple state. Is it a red state? Is it a blue state? It was on a knife's edge. It's definitely in play. But look at this. You know, you've heard the phrase security theater. You go to get on an airplane and they make you put your shoes here, and they've never caught a terrorist in 20 years. It's public security theater. Well, the mask is public health theater. And if you doubt it, well, take it from the elites of Pennsylvania. Take a look.
So Wendy, I'm gonna take my mask off on this speech.
I will as well. I'm waiting so that we can do a little political theater.
Okay.
So that it's on camera.
I'm just going to do a little political theater that's on camera. We both know it's a joke, but you know we need to show the little people. We just, you know, it's gonna just some political. She literally said that. That's a Democrat talking to the Democrat governor. Yeah, but you know that already. That fake British officer, that's that comedian, right? I think his name is Andrew Lawrence. There's this comedian out of the UK named Andrew Lawrence who does about 5 characters. One of my favorites is he does Prince Harry. Can you go to his, play the one of the British cop? That's a good one. He does a British, and he's, you know, there's so many wonderful British accents, and I'm not going to try them out on you again. I don't want to punish you with that. There's Cockney, there's high and low, and there's a wonderful, wonderful accents, and this guy can do them all. And so he just puts on a different outfit and a different accent, and he really does transform. He's got this sort of soccer hooligan or football hooligan thing. He's got this Prince Harry. Oh my God, he does such a good job on Prince Harry. When Can you look for his Prince Harry Netflix one? It's so funny. He does a BBC presenter. He does a university professor. Who else does he do? I like them. You know what? I mean, he's pretty funny. I'm not going to say he's conservative because he ribs the working class conservative football players, football fans too. But is this the cop one? He does a good cop. Here, take a look at this.
Hello, I'm Sergeant Constable Detective Officer Peter Pisspot from Twat Valley Police. Many of you will be aware that new regulations have come into force over the past week in our ongoing efforts to control the spread of COVID-19. If you tested positive for COVID, you must self-isolate for 14 days. You must also self-isolate if you've been notified to do so by the NHS Test and Trace app, which I'm sure you have all definitely downloaded at this stage. Failure to self-isolate will result in a fine of £1,000, rising to £10,000 for repeat offences. Christ alone knows where you're going to find that sort of money, given that a hefty number of you have already had your businesses decimated or been banned from doing your jobs for the past 6 months. Your only hope is that a close relative dies of COVID and leaves you an inheritance. Although with COVID death rates as they currently stand, that is highly unlikely. And in fact, they are probably more likely to die in a log flume accident, even though most theme parks are currently closed. Further regulations now in force require pubs, restaurants and cafes to take all reasonable measures to stop customers from singing and dancing. These regulations also apply to all theatres and art centres, if indeed there are any of those left that haven't already gone into administration. All hospitality venues are required to actively discourage people from enjoying themselves or feeling in any way happy to be alive upon their premises. If we do discover people having fun, myself and my colleagues, as well as our team of COVID marshals from the job centre, are authorised to use due force to put a stop to it. It's important that you all continue to be as miserable and depressed as possible. You are advised to bottle everything up inside. If you do need to have a cry, please do so with a bag over your head to catch the tears so that they are not coming into contact with anyone else. And please do remember, your mental health is not important to us at this time.
You know, he's good. I mean, it's not hilarious, but it's pretty good. What's his name? Andrew Lawrence? Is that his name? I sent his agent a letter. I wanted to buy the rights to his Prince Harry. I don't think I got a note back. I'll have to check. Can you find one of his Prince Harrys? He is so. I think it's his funniest character. He's got the different accents, and it's all he does is change his shirt. Really, sometimes he puts some glasses on. I find, you know, Meghan Markle. Can you just throw up Meghan Markle headline? She's telling friends she thinks she can run for president. I swear to God. I swear to God. And why not? And why not? She's got it all in her own mind. And yeah, I mean, why don't we play the Prince Harry clip from Andrew Lawrence? He's got a bunch of them, but really, they're all great. And then if you could help me find that viz to prove that Meghan Markle actually wants to run for president. I don't think she would win the Democrat nomination. She's too imperious. She would expect everything to be handed to her. She's not a likable person. She's a backstabbing gossip who's a hero in her own mind. But what a pleasure it would be to see her run and get crushed. So here's Andrew Lawrence, that comedian you just saw. I recommend following him on Twitter. And I think he's doing some shows in the UK if they haven't locked them all down. So here he is pretending to be Prince Harry. I think this is very funny.
Some fantastic news to share with you all today. I'm delighted to announce that my wife and I have landed an amazing multi-year deal to produce television programs for Netflix. Apparently it's worth about £75 million, which I thought was a pretty good pay packet. But when I told Gran, she called it chump change. To be honest, I'm not absolutely sure what Netflix is. Some internet charity for people who can't get on the real television? but they do seem to have a lot of money. So I'm very happy to film some stuff for them on my phone. Funny thing is, we don't even own a TV set at the moment. My wife put her foot through the screen after she saw her sister slagging her off again on some news program. Anyway, I'm very excited about this big Nettunes project. Sorry, not Nettunes. What are they called? Netpod, Nettube, Nettrash, whatever. It doesn't matter. The important thing is they've got cash to burn. I don't really know what I'm doing, but luckily my wife's an expert in producing television. She had a starring role acting in the drama series Suits, which she tells me won many awards, received huge critical acclaim, and is still widely regarded as the best TV program of all time. And it definitely wasn't cancelled due to poor viewing figures. After Suits finished, apparently she was offered multiple leading roles in major Hollywood films that she says she mistakenly turned down to marry me, and that I should be fucking grateful and just take my beatings like a man and get back in the cupboard under the stairs before she cuts me again. I don't know what sort of TV programs we're going to make exactly, neither does Netflix, but I do know that they're going to be fantastically worthy and progressive. And my role in the whole process will simply be to do what I'm told and try not to get hit. I'm excited and I'm looking forward to it. I'm loving the new house in Santa Barbara. Life is good right now, guys. And even if it wasn't, my wife's burned my passport, so I can't leave anyway.
I'm sorry, I think that's funny. He's got about 5 characters. I really like that. Andrew Lawrence is his name. And it's amazing when you see a comedian who's not afraid of challenging power. That is really the job of any comedian, but they're all afraid because you make any joke about anyone. I mean, what he did there, well, that's obviously racist against Meghan Markle. It's obviously sexist. It's obviously implying that Prince Harry is a doormat for his wife. Oh my God, I can't think of it. I mean, the police one. There was some truths in there. As we said earlier about the Babylon Bee. The comedy is when you come very, very close to the fact. And that police officer saying, we don't care about your mental health. We don't care. You want to bottle it up inside. Shut up. We don't care about your mental health. Maybe that's why I like this comedian. Maybe because he's one of the rare. Yeah, look at this. Yeah. Meghan Markle could seriously consider running for president if she gave up her title, a source close to the Duchess told Vanity Fair. I hope she does it. I hope she does it. I hope she burns up all that stupid cash that she's sopping up. I hope she takes all that Netflix money, pays a bunch of thieves in the political consulting class to take all her money and run her into the ground. She would come in as low as Bill de Blasio did, who I don't think ever exceeded 1% in the polls. It's 1:03. I think let me just make sure I got the super chats in. Ray Mechanics, $5. The Democrats want a large, poor base dependent on the government. Well, of course. We have that in Canada too. I see that with different Indian bands. When an Indian band makes the decision to get into economic development and grab their own future, usually through oil and gas, it's a mental change for the whole community. Do we sit back and beg and rely on handouts from the Ministry of Indigenous Affairs in Ottawa, or do we become masters of our own fate? There's such a attitudinal, emotional, self-identity change when an Indian band says, you know what, we're going to do our own thing. We're going to get rich by doing stuff. I look at Chief Clarence Louis. I look at the Fort McKay band from the Fort McMurray area. So it's the same. It's the same. All right, let me quickly whip through some more of these super chats, then we're done. Proud Boys Calgary, 279. Did we suddenly get popular overnight? Yeah, you know what? Very weird. Chris Wallace asking Trump to disavow Proud Boys, which is just apropos of nothing. Proud Boys haven't been burning down America, but he didn't ask Joe Biden to similarly disavow Antifa or Black Lives Matter. In fact, he said Antifa does not exist as an entity. It's just an idea, which is false. And even if it were true as a description, well, that's Al Qaeda, that's ISIS. You don't have a membership card. Goonies 2, 513. Yes, lazy reporters point out the BS COVID, but do nothing else to see what BS is hiding, so blindly lead the right into a trap of blame. Okay, I think you're answering my question about how we have betrayed the right, and I just don't understand it. You may know, I just wrote a whole book about the pandemic and Trudeau's reaction to it and how it shows Trudeau's in bed with the Chinese Communist Party. The book went to #1 in Canada. It's called China Virus. I have a book on global warming too. It's called Fight Kyoto. I just maybe you're thinking of someone else other than me. Reg Porter, $5 without a government that is resource friendly. Canada will be bankrupt and Western Canada will be a separate republic. Thanks, Rebel, for the truth. Yeah, I mean, as we've talked about recently, Detroit used to be the highest industrial wage city in America. Now it's a ghost town. Baltimore, I've been with Kimberly Klasick in those neighborhoods in Baltimore. Every second or third house is abandoned. Where did those people go? They didn't evaporate. They just said, we're out of here. And I think that's Trudeau's plan for Alberta. Wolfcat Wildcat, $5. Can you link this guy's YouTube, please? Oh, I think that's I don't know if he has a Twitter, but he's got that. I don't know if he has YouTube. He's got the Twitter. Andrew Lawrence is his name. Looks like he's got a show coming on the 14th of October. He's in the UK. Click his website if you would. So I don't know where Bognor is. Am I even saying that right? Aldershot, Worcester, London. I don't know if these things are open because, you know, the rule of 6 and the lockdown, and he's funny. I mean, it's sort of the same shtick after a while, but I'll take that. I mean, you think The View or, you know, who was the guy who did the Daily Show, Jon Stewart? You think those guys had anything but their message tracks over and again? I'll take Andrew Lawrence. He's funny. He's got a character, a football hooligan character, who I think is really funny. And I like the football hooligans. I've come to know them and love them. So he pokes at the right as well. If I was in the UK, I'd absolutely, definitely go hear him. Gabe Duguay, $2. Antifa was trained by ISIS via Brennan. Antifa's been along before ISIS and before Brennan. It actually goes back decades in Europe. My friends, it's 1:08 p.m. It's time for me to say goodbye. Thanks very much to you for supporting us with Super Chats. It's nice to have 1,400 people watching. We had up to 7,800 last night, so that was nice. I'll say goodbye, but as is our tradition, we like to end with a little puppy video or dog. It doesn't have to be a baby puppy. It can be a fully grown dog. Justin selects them. I don't see them before we air them, so it's a pleasant surprise for me every time. So let me say goodbye to you now and leave you with Justin's dog video of the day.